First of all, we want to give a big mabruk. Jacob Towel, he has his daughter. He's getting married, and this is a big zechut that he has. His daughter's getting married. Moshe mabruk, mazal tov. We're going to dedicate the shiur as well to his atzlacha of that. Rabotai, I'd like to present to you an amazing, amazing lesson, and that is, it says, if a person, heaven forbid, was mehalel Shabbat, if a person, heaven forbid, he was mehalel Shabbat, right? Do we take his ear, put it on the mezuzah, and say, the ear we heard at Har Sinai should be pierced? Do we do that, yes or no?
No.
We don't do that, right? But when do we do that? What's the case?
When he wants to stay with his master.
When he wants to stay with his master after 6 years, that's what we do. Why? Again, I want to tell you something. It says, what does it say? It says that when you pull the Eved Ivri, this is what it says over here. It says, Lama Davka Eved Ivri, he finished the 6 years and he wants to continue being an Eved. It says, Ozen Sheshama al Har Sinai ki li bnei Yisrael avadim. The ear that heard in Har Sinai that the bnei Yisrael is slaves, halach v'kana adon la'atzmo, he went to go get a master for himself. What? It has to be pierced. How come we don't do that in Shabbat? Shabbat, the guy was Mahal Shabbat, take his ear and say, the ear who heard on Har Sinai that you were my slaves should be pierced. It's a good question. Solid question, right? It should be on every single Avirah. Not only when a person is freed after 6 years and he wants to get he says, oh, I want to be an Eved still. Why is it only that and not any other Avirah? To answer this question, there's a Yesod, and that we have to understand. Because he said something. He said, Ahavti et Adoni. I love my master. And he wants to stay in Eved. And therefore, this is different than any other sin. Because in order to serve Hashem, one of the criteria are, it says, Vayigba libo b'darkei Hashem. What does that mean? You have to feel good. You have to feel strong and well, and emotionally well, and physically well, and everything has to be in the sense where you feel good about yourself. Vayigba libo b'darkei Hashem. You should know, one of the biggest Yetzer Hara's is the Yetzer Hara called making yourself feel down. Why is that? By the way, the Yetzer Hara is brought down on Pi Kabbalah. The Yetzer Hara has 2 wives. One wife is called, I don't want to call her name, but Lamed Yud, and then with a Taf at the end. And the Mefarshim explain, what's the Yetzer Hara of this? What's her objective of this? Comes from her name, Yelala. It's called Lamed Yud, right? But the shoresh is Yelala. What's Yelala? Yelala means what? To cry. A lady wants in life, what does she want? She wants to feel what? She wants, the Yetzer Hara wants a person to feel down and feel low about himself. And that's why really, what is it? That's why if a person's not feeling good about himself, he could fall in the worst situations. And that's exactly what we're doing with this Eved Ivri. What are we doing with this Eved Ivri? You are saying that you love your master? That's what you're saying? That means you don't hold of yourself. That means you don't hold of how great you are. You feel you're a slave to another Jew. You have to feel you're a slave to God Himself, because if you don't feel like that, if you feel you're a slave to somebody else, that means you're feeling very, very low about yourself. We have to make yourself self-esteem. And we have to remember where you came from. You were the ear who heard at Har Sinai. Is that clear, Moshe? You hear that? You hear that answer? It's a perfect answer. It's an answer that you have to understand what your value is. If you feel that you could say, I finished my slavery and I love my master and I still want to be a slave, that means you don't feel the value who you really are. You were the one who heard at Har Sinai, and that's specifically why we have to try to elevate you. And we're trying to say, your ear, this ear, was at the ear of Har Sinai. You're an Eved Hashem. You're a slave of God. You're not a slave of a human being. And that's exactly why specifically this Avirah, not Avirah, I shouldn't say Avirah, this Avlah, I should say, this situation where the person is saying, I want to stay longer, then we say, you don't understand your level we're on. And therefore we have to say, Ozen Sheshama. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Why? Because you have to remember, where you're from. You're Melchemet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh. V'lachen he writes, Adam kazeh tzarich letziyah sheyeh lezer kavua. Therefore you have to have something that's permanent in your ear. And whenever time you see it, you remember, I come from Melchemet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh. I come from a great nation. I'm not a slave of a slave. I'm Hashem's slave. Wow. And therefore we specifically do it on the ear, so it'll be kavua, it'll be permanent, to understand one thing. Remember who you are. And Rabotai, I told you this once before. You know, I always had a question. How was Rabbi Akiva able, after losing 24,000 students, how was he able to continue with another student? Huh, Rabbi? What do you think? He came ahead, 24,000 students of his died. How does he have the ability to go ahead and continue? Even to try to get one more student. 24,000 students. First of all, he started at the age of 40 to go, right? And then after that, it took him many years to what? To be Tamei Hacham, right? To be Tamei Hacham himself and to accumulate so many students. And after all that, they all died. How do you have the ability to go ahead and get more students? Huh? Katash, how do you have it? What was Rabbi Akiva's thing in his mind? You know what it is? It was the Rambam. The Rambam says, of course, Rabbi Akiva is the Tana, but what Rabbi Akiva said into his mind, that Kol HaMakayem Nefesh Echad MiYisrael Kiyem Olam Maleh. If you save one Jew, you save a whole world. And Rabbi Akiva looked at every one of his students like the world. And therefore, you're right, 24,000 worlds collapse. But guess what? I could get one more world. I could transform another whole world. That's massive. So he looked at every Talmid of his like his only Talmid that he had from the get-go. How do you look at a Talmid? When you're a rabbi or you're a Rebbe, do you look at, wow, I have a whole classroom of Talmidim? Look, I have 30 students. Do you look at it like that? Or a Rebbe or a rabbi looks at his Kehillah where he has one and another one and another one and another one and another one. Which one, Rav Moshe? How would you view it?
The latter one.
Huh?
Each one is a diamond.
Each one, the Rebbe, in his mind, when he's going to teach his class, he has to look the individual, that's his whole world right there, that one individual. And that's when Rabbi Akiva had the 24,000 students. How do you think he viewed them? He didn't just view, I have 24,000 students. He had one, and another one, and another one. And that's why when you view every student that you have only one, and that's all your students you have. And you also have another one, that's all your students you have. Therefore you can continue. And this thing, you have the cheshbon? You hear the cheshbon was said over here? It was a powerful lesson. How did Rabbi Akiva view I have 24,000 students. Oh, no. I have one student and I also have 24,000 of that one student. Another student. And therefore when they all died, he's like, I viewed them as one student my whole entire life. If that's the case, I could start again. I could start with another student, because the way I viewed my first 24,000 was each one differently, a whole world. So therefore I have another one, a whole world. It's like when a person has many kids, right? You have many kids. So you say, okay, good. You have 10 kids, 8 kids, 7 kids. How do you view your kids? You have all of them beautiful. Let me mechanech all of them. Or do you say that each one of my kids as if I only have one child? And by the way, you know what teaches this lesson? I'll tell you. It says, Chanoch lena'ar al pi darko. What does that say? Chanoch lena'ar al pi darko means train the na'ar, let's say your child, al pi darko, on his way. On his way. Because when you're going to have children, and mark my words, when you're going to have children, each child has a different way of what? Of relating to that child. And it could be one child, you'll have to tell them, by the way, if you do your homework, I'll give you cookies. And he needs that. And they need that. I know one over here, another child over here that needs it, that's for sure. Alright? Exactly. Right? That's what it is. And then you'll have another child that cookies, okay, it's cute, it's nice, but it doesn't do the trick. It doesn't do the trick. And then you have one child, listen boys, you have one child where the only way they'll do things, if you talk gentle, and you're calm, and you're nice, and you have the other child, the only way, scream at him, let's go! Where's your homework? Let's go! And what happened? And you're a father, and you're a mother, and you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, how am I going to go and train this child? You could have a child, all your children could come out one way. The child, what happened to this child? How come he's not excelled? Because the father and mother, you have to understand, when you look at your children, oh wow, I have all these children. You have to look at every child as if that's the only child you have. How would you educate that child? Rabbi Yitzchak Hudner, the Parashat Yitzchak, the Gaon of Yitzchak Hudner. You know how many children he had? He had one daughter. And he writes in his letter, he wanted to have more kids. Unfortunately, he couldn't, whatever that was. But he writes in his, he has a sefer that just came out. It's translated in English. I recommend it. Rabbi Yitzchak Hudner. And he writes over there that this child, he's viewing as the only child. And any child that he would have afterwards, same way. Because that's the way you're supposed to view your children. No, I have a bunch. Let me train them all at one shot. Package deal, done. They're all done. Listen, you can't do that. Every child needs their own attention. You have to give your own child attention. They need your time. You can't just invest it in one child and not the other. You want them to all become great. They will. But you have to have the patience and you have to view them. If it's your only child, how would you take care of them? How would you train them? How would you teach them? Rabbi, what do you think? If it's your only child, how are you going to teach them? I know a guy, he had all girls. He had only one boy. That's all he had. He had all girls, he had one boy. The last one was his boy. And I went to him, I said, your son, he's a major chacham. How did he become? He tells me, listen, I had all girls. I always wanted to be Tamil Chacham myself. I couldn't be whatever it was. I said, at least one of my children, I said, how'd you make him? He says, I only have one shot. He said, if I have many boys, okay, so the first one won't be. I was like, I got the second one. But I only have one shot, I only have one boy. I did everything in my effort to make sure he has tutoring, to make sure he has any help that he needed, anything he needed. Why? Because that's the way he viewed him. Yeah, he's supposed to view chinuch. Yeah, he's supposed to view chinuch. I hope you understand this, what we're saying. But I'd like to say one more point, and that is this. That's very important, and that is the beginning. The beginning, it says that a person that has a slave, well, how does he have to treat him, Kadash? With the utmost, right? The same way you want to treat him. If you have the steak, he's going to eat a steak also, right? Imagine you come home, you have your wife made you a crazy dinner, filet mignon, you have a side dish, and this and that, and you're making the craziest stuff. And all of a sudden, this Eved, what are you eating? Oh, I'm eating the same thing as you. What? You don't feel so special anymore. He's as special as me. What do you mean? Halakha says, you give him the same. Right? Right? The question is why? Why is it like that? Especially he's the one who stole. He's the one who stole. And he can't pay back. He sold as an Eved Ivri. He sold as an Eved Ivri. And yet, what's the halacha? You have to treat him the same way as yourself? Why is that? Yeah, Joe, you hear what I'm saying or no? Why do I have to treat a guy, he was a Jew, he's a Jew, he stole, he can't pay back, I bought him, I have to treat him the same way I want to be treated. I go myself, I buy a crazy, awesome pair of suit from Haddad, Freddie Sweat's guy, right? Oh, I buy this, I buy that, and I buy all the amazing stuff, and then all of a sudden I have to buy the same exact thing as for my Eved. What's the pshat? What's the pshat? What's the understanding? Katash, you can explain it to me? What's the understanding of that? What's the havana to that? You know what the understanding is? I'll tell you. Yeah, Rabbi Jamal, you hear the question? The understanding is very simple. The understanding is that why psychologically, why did he go ahead and fall to steal? Why? Why did he go and fall to steal, huh?
He stole or he did the shemini?
One of the things is that, let's say he stole and he can't pay back, and then therefore after that he can't pay back, we sell him as a slave, and the money that we get from that we pay back the original owner of what he stole from. So my question is, if that's the case, why are we treating him with so much respect? And the answer is because we have to go to the psychological mind of the person. Why did he steal? You know why he stole? Because he didn't feel his self-worth. If he felt that he was worth something, there's no way I could stoop so low to steal. If you feel you're an aristocrat, if you feel you're a very hashuv person, if you feel like me, imagine the whole community views you as the chief rabbi. Imagine the whole community views you as the whole world. You, the chief rabbi. Are you going to act differently, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no, Kadash?
Maybe.
You definitely will. You definitely will. You're not going to do the same thing. You're not going to drive. Imagine I see the chief rabbi driving the way they drive. Oh, imagine you cut up the chief rabbi and he starts screaming at you. What are you doing? You're crazy. You look at him. You're the chief rabbi? You know what? He'll never do it. Because he knows in his mind that what? He's the chief rabbi. So if I'm the chief rabbi, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'll never do that. There's no way I'll do that. Right? Right? Yes or no? Imagine president. The president drives his own car. Will he ever drive his own car? He's the president. He'll never drive his own car. Why not? Let him drive it. He can't drive? He's not allowed to. Why can't he drive? I can't drive. Why not? I want to just relax. I want to drive myself. I need to have a guy every time driving me. Sometimes you want to feel like I want to drive. So for 4 years he can't drive one car. He wants to drive. Because he knows he's dignified. And you can't see me driving. You got to see the president as the president. So he won't do certain things. So too you. If you believed who you are, how you're so aristocratic, how you're so hashuv, how you're so amazing, you would never stoop low to steal anybody's money. You'll never be able to do that. Because you know your value. You know your value. And this guy unfortunately stole because he didn't know his value. So we take him in our house in order to teach him his value. And therefore when you're eating a steak and you're giving him the same steak and he's eating it, what is he thinking? He's saying, why are you giving me a steak? You're the master because you're a Jew just like me. We're the same. You're Memlech HaKohanim v'Goy Kadosh. And when a person can understand that and believe that, then the person wouldn't do things that are beneath him. He wouldn't do things that are beneath him.
Dignity.
You'll be dignified. You'll be dignified. Imagine you have an athlete, an NBA player, the best one. He knows this guy. Who is this guy? Don't mention him in the shul. Doesn't even deserve. He loves this NBA player. This guy. Yeah. No, you. Right? He loves this NBA player. I'll give you a mashal. I'll give you an example. You have the best athlete, NBA player. Imagine right now, and he's in his prime, and he's in the season, championship finals, right? And he goes to a party, a regular party, and they're all having in the party all these fries, French fries, burgers, and it's awesome. And he doesn't eat. And you look at him, you're like, how come you're not eating? You don't like French fries? You don't like burgers? He says, I love it. He says, but I'm in the championships. I'm in the finals. My body has to be in shape. I'm above French fries. I'm above the burgers. I'm above. Why? Because he believes in his mind how great he is. Understand? As a Jew, you have to believe in yourself. This sin, I can't do this sin. Why not? Because it's beneath me. Do you know who I am? That's how you have to feel. Do you know how I am? To do a sin like that? I'll throw up. I'll throw up to do a sin like that. You kidding me? You know who I am? You know who I am? And the same thing with a lady. A lady, she wants to work on herself to be tzniut. If she understood who she is, how great she is, she'll never, ever, ever wear anything that's immodest. Take any aristocratic lady. Anyone. Take who you are. The president's, the first lady, the queen, the this, the that. When they dress up, you see them. They have gloves. They have a skirt. They have this. They have that. You don't see any skin. You don't see. What's the pshat? Because they're aristocratic. Who are you to look at my body? Who are you? Nobody could. You know why? Because I'm tzeniwa. I'm modest. And therefore, she knows her value. She knows that she's the child of Hashem. She's not just a child. She's God's child. And God's saying, listen, I want you to dress appropriate. So she knows her value. She can't dress inappropriate anymore because she believes who she is. I am God's daughter. I can't dress like that. I can't do that. It's the same thing. I come back to the chief rabbi. You think, how does he go out in the street? You know how he goes down the street? Galabiye, with his hat. Why? Go out, you can go out regular. No, dignified him, man, which is understandable. So how come you don't understand, you Jew? How come you don't understand who you are? That you're the child of God. That any Avirah is so beneath you, it's disgusting. If you could go so deep into sin like that, it's disgusting. You want to throw up, hurts. You know why? Because you don't feel that awe of who you are. And that's why you could, heaven forbid, go beneath. That's why. But you have to understand, and this is what the Torah is teaching you from this week. Is teaching you, if you're an Eved Ivri and you want to what? You're going to go to somebody's house and they're going to feed you the steak. Why? Because they have to uplift your self-esteem. Your self-esteem dropped. Because if you could steal, that means you don't know your value. And guess what? When you treat people like that, and you treat people with respect, how do you think the Lubavitcher Rebbe was Mekarev so many Jews? Do you know how many Jews he brought back with Teshuvah? How many Jews? And guess what? There was one person that said, I traveled around the world and I saw two things of the most. What? One was Coca-Cola the most in the world, and the second Chabad. That's what he said. That's what he said. You know why? Because he believed a Jew is so special. It's worth it to go one end of the world to the next end of the world just to bring him back. Because he believed in the power of one Jew. He believed how much power he has. He believed who he was. He believed in that person. And that's why he was ready to do anything for a Jew. Because he understood the value of a Jew. He understood the value of who you are. And when you understand your value, you will never stoop lower than who your value is. You'll never be able to do it. You will never be able to do it. And that's the honest truth. And that's the honest truth. And when you could feel that, and you could believe that, and you could soak that in, and understand that what? I'm from holiness. You know, look at the first Perek of Mesnai Yeshirim. What does it say? It says you have a neshama, you have a soul. You know where your soul came from? Your soul came from the Shamayim to here. Oh, you have godliness in you. And if you have Tzelem Elokim, you have godliness in you, you can never stoop lower than who your value is. And when you understand that, guess what? You'll start living up to what it is. And that's why we say to this Eved Ivri, I'll give you the same steak as me, I'll give you the same suit as me, because with that, you'll realize your value. You're not low, you're high. And that's why when the Eved wants to stay more, we go and we pierce his ear. Why specifically the ear on that statement? Because the Eved, he doesn't really believe in himself. He doesn't believe he's the son of Hashem. And therefore, we have to say, remember, this is the Ozen. Remember, you heard at Har Sinai who you are. Remember your self-worth. Have a good one.